Commander Jack Hudson stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, looking at the alien ship through the viewport. The strange vessel was huge, much bigger than his own ship. Its hull showed strange patterns that moved like liquid metal. "They're calling us again, sir," said Lieutenant Olivia Grant from her station. Jack nodded. "Let's hear what they have to say." The screen lit up, showing an alien with shiny skin and many eyes arranged in a circle. When it spoke, the ship's translator converted its words. "Human vessel, I am High Commander Vexlor of the Galactic Hegemony. Your people have entered our space. Surrender now and join our empire." Jack kept his face calm. "High Commander, I'm Commander Hudson from Earth's Defense Fleet. There must be a mistake. Our maps show this area belongs to no one." "Your maps mean nothing. The hegemony claims all systems in this part of space. Your species will obey or face our power." Jack leaned forward. "High Commander, I strongly suggest you avoid fighting us. You may not know much about humans, but starting a war with us would be a bad idea." The alien's eyes pulsed, probably showing amusement. "Your simple species threatens an empire that has lasted 10,000 years. Interesting. You have 1 day to surrender." When the call ended, Jack turned to his second-in-command. "Commander Harris, send a message to Earth Command. Also, warn all human bases in this sector." "What are we going to do, sir?" Harris asked. Jack's expression hardened. "They've never fought humans before. We need to make sure they understand what that means." Back in his quarters, Jack reviewed what they knew about the hegemony. Reports showed they ruled hundreds of star systems and many alien species. They expanded by force, giving new worlds 2 choices: join or be destroyed. "Computer, show me our closest reinforcements," Jack said. A map appeared, showing the nearest human ships were 3 days away, too far if the aliens attacked soon. Jack touched a button. "Bridge, this is the commander. I want all weapons ready and shields at maximum. Send a drone to watch the alien ship. If they make any aggressive moves, I want to know immediately." "Yes, sir," came the reply. Jack stared at the ceiling, thinking. Humanity had spread through the stars for only 100 years. The hegemony had ruled for thousands. But humans had something the aliens didn't understand: a history of fighting against overwhelming odds and winning. His computer beeped. A message from Earth Command appeared. "Diplomatic team en route. Hold position. Avoid conflict if possible. Reinforcements diverted to your location. Estimated arrival: 72 hours." Jack sighed. 3 days was a long time when facing an enemy who gave them only 1. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Jack rushed back to the bridge. "Sir, the alien vessel is powering weapons," reported the tactical officer. "They're moving into attack position." "So much for their 1-day deadline," Jack muttered. "Battle stations. All crew to emergency positions." He sat in his command chair. "Seems they're eager to learn why humans are the worst species to pick a fight with." As warning lights flashed throughout the ship, Jack opened a channel to all decks. "This is Commander Hudson. The hegemony has decided to attack before their own deadline. They think we'll be easy to defeat. Let's show them how wrong they are. Remember your training. We may be outnumbered, but we're still human, and humans never go down without a fight." The bridge crew worked quickly, preparing for battle. Outside, the massive alien ship moved closer, its weapons glowing with energy. The first battle between humans and the galactic hegemony was about to begin. Admiral Susan Miller walked back and forth in the war room at Earth Central Command. On screens around her, leaders from all human colonies watched and waited. "The hegemony is gathering their ships here, and here," she said, pointing to spots on the galaxy map. "Our spies tell us they've conquered more than 300 different alien species in the last 1,000 years. They have never lost a war." Governor Alan Wright from New Terra leaned closer to his camera. "And they think we'll just give up." Susan gave a grim smile. "They don't understand how determined humans can be. Their whole society is built on other species giving up right away. They think our attempts to talk peacefully mean we are weak. "What's the plan, Admiral?" asked General Kate Wilson from Mars Command, her image flickering because of the distance. "Operation Ghost Protocol," Susan answered. "We've been preparing for this kind of first contact since we left Earth. The hegemony thinks they're dealing with just a few colony worlds. They don't know our true strength or how far we've spread." She made the map bigger, showing hundreds of hidden human bases and military stations throughout the galaxy. "We've been careful to keep our public presence small, but as you all know, humanity has expanded much further than we've let anyone know." Captain Frank Martinez from Intelligence stood up. "The hegemony has conquered every species they've met, because those species either fought in traditional ways or surrendered immediately. They know nothing about guerrilla warfare, surprise attacks, or psychological operations." Susan nodded. "We're going to send them one final warning. Not asking for peace, warning them to leave us alone." "They won't listen," Kate said. "No," Susan agreed. "But later, they can never say we didn't warn them." After the meeting, Susan met privately with her top military advisors. "The Defiant has engaged the enemy," she told them. "Commander Hudson is outnumbered, but he's implementing our first strike protocol." "Will he survive?" asked Admiral Johnson. "Unknown," Susan replied. "But he's buying us time and sending us valuable data about their weapons and tactics." Colonel Rivera studied the battle reports. "Their technology isn't much more advanced than ours. Their advantage is in numbers and experience." "Numbers we can handle," Susan said. "Experience," she smiled. "Well, they have experience fighting species that follow rules. Humans have been breaking rules since we invented them." She touched a screen, bringing up a classified file. "Project Phantom is ready. Our stealth ships can deploy to these key hegemony bases within the week." "And the diplomatic mission?" asked Johnson. "Ambassador Reed leaves tomorrow. He'll deliver our warning directly to their high command." Susan's face grew serious. "It won't stop what's coming, but it will make our position clear." Outside the window, Susan could see ships preparing in Earth orbit. Some were obvious military vessels, proudly displaying human insignia. Others were unmarked, designed to blend into civilian traffic or mimic trading vessels from other species. "The hegemony has ruled through fear for 10,000 years, Susan said quietly. "They've never faced an enemy who wasn't afraid." Colonel Rivera nodded. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Susan turned from the window. "Implement all phases of Ghost Protocol. Deploy our stealth fleets to these coordinates. Begin arming all sleeper cells within hegemony space." She paused. "And send a message to Commander Hudson of the Defiant. Tell him help is coming, and his sacrifice will not be in vain." As her officers left to carry out her orders, Susan looked once more at the stars. The hegemony thought this would be a simple conquest. They were about to learn why, throughout human history, underestimating humans had always been a fatal mistake. Nathan Reed fixed his formal diplomat uniform as he got ready to board the hegemony flagship. As Earth's special envoy, he carried humanity's final warning message. "Remember, Ambassador," said his helper, Lisa Chen, "their cultural database shows they see direct eye contact as submission. Don't look down or away either. That shows fear." Nathan nodded. "So stare at the bridge of their nose or whatever they have similar." "Got it." The small shuttle docked with a massive alien ship. As the airlock opened, Nathan stood tall. The future of humanity might depend on how well he delivered this message. 4 guards led him through hallways lined with treasures from conquered worlds. Nathan recognized items from dozens of alien species, displayed like hunting trophies. Finally, they reached the grand meeting room. High Commander Vexlor sat on a raised platform, surrounded by lower officials. "The human envoy comes forward," announced a herald. Nathan stepped ahead, not bowing or showing any respect. "High Commander," he began, "I bring a message from the United Earth Government and all human colonies. Your surrender terms, Vexlor asked, his mouthparts clicking in what Nathan knew was their version of a dismissive smile. "No, High Commander. I bring a warning." Nathan's voice stayed calm and steady. "The hegemony has conquered many worlds, but you have never met humans before. We are not like the others." He took out a small device and turned it on. A hologram showed various moments from human history, not our technology, but our wars, our survival, our ability to fight against huge odds. Humanity has been shaped through thousands of years of conflict, survival, and adaptation. We fought ourselves more fiercely than most species fight their worst enemies. And we have never, in our long and violent history, accepted tyranny for long. Nathan took a step forward. "This is not a negotiation or a plea. This is a warning, freely given. Walk away. Leave human space. Do not test us." Laughter spread through the room. Vexlor's eyes pulsed with amusement. "Your species has spirit. I will admit that," the High Commander said. "Your worlds will make a fine addition to the hegemony. Perhaps we'll keep some of you as curiosities." Nathan bowed his head slightly. "Then you leave us no choice. Remember, when what's coming reaches your homeworlds, we warned you to run." As Nathan was escorted back to his shuttle, he noticed how the alien guard seemed relaxed, almost amused by the humans' empty threats. Inside the shuttle, Lisa waited. "How did it go?" "Exactly as expected," Nathan replied. They laughed. "Did you plant the device?" Nathan nodded. "Left it under the chair, just as planned. It's recording everything they say and transmitting back to our ships. And the other thing. The quantum tracker is active. When their flagship moves, we'll know exactly where they go and what forces they gather." Lisa checked her tablet. "All our agents across their empire are in position. The moment they move against any human world, Operation Ghost begins." Nathan looked out the window at the huge alien ship. It was impressive, powerful, and built by a civilization that had never known defeat. "They think we're primitive," he said quietly. "They judge us by our visible technology, our few official colonies. They have no idea what's waiting for them." "Should we feel bad for them?" Lisa asked. Nathan thought about the trophies he'd seen, the remains of civilizations crushed under hegemony rule. "No," he said firmly. "We gave them a choice. We warned them to run." Fleet Master Zalthar stood on the command deck of the dreadnought Eternal Glory, watching as his attack fleet moved toward the human colony of New Eden. 500 warships against what seemed to be a defenseless farming world. "Primitive defenses detected," reported his sensor officer. "Minimal orbital platforms. No significant fleet presence." Zalthar's mouthparts formed the hegemony expression of satisfaction. "Begin planetary bombardment. Target their cities first." "Fleet Master," interrupted his second-in-command, "something is coming from the planet's moon." A small ship, barely bigger than a shuttle, came out from behind New Eden's moon. "A single ship," Zalthar laughed. "They send one ship against our fleet." "It's broadcasting a message on all channels," said the communications officer. "Let me hear it," Zalthar ordered, amused by the human's pointless gesture. A human female appeared on screen. "Captain Diane Foster of the UES Harbinger. Hegemony Fleet, this is your final warning. Leave immediately." Zalthar's laughter was joined by his bridge crew. "One ship threatens our mighty fleet. Your species' pride is amazing." The human captain's face showed no emotion. "We did warn you to run." She disappeared from the screen. Moments later, alarms sounded across the command deck. "Fleet Master, strange energy readings throughout the fleet. Our ship's air." The officer never finished his sentence. Throughout the hegemony fleet, carefully placed quantum bombs, smuggled aboard during normal trade visits months earlier, exploded at the same time. 300 ships vanished in an instant. The remaining vessels, damaged and confused, found themselves under attack from all directions as hidden ships appeared from hiding places throughout the system. And from New Eden itself, a planet the hegemony had dismissed as an unimportant colony, rose humanity's hidden fleet, ships that had been buried underground, waiting for this moment. In the chaos that followed, Zalthar managed to escape with only 40 ships. As they limped away through hyperspace, he replayed the humans' words in his mind. "We did warn you to run." Back on New Eden, local defense commander Greg Wilson surveyed the aftermath of the battle from his command center. "Damage report," he ordered. "Minimal, sir," replied his aide. "They never got close enough to harm the planet. Our buried ships are all launching successfully." Greg nodded. "Send word to Earth Command. Operation Ghost Phase 1 complete. The hegemony fleet has been reduced by 70%. Do we pursue the survivors, sir?" Greg shook his head. "No." Admiral Miller's orders were clear. "Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened here." He walked to the window, watching as more human ships rose from hidden underground hangars. For years, New Eden had appeared to be just a farming colony. The hegemony scouts had seen fields, simple buildings, and minimal defenses. They hadn't detected the vast military complex buried beneath the surface. They hadn't realized that every farmer was also a trained soldier. Every simple building contained weapons and equipment, and the minimal defenses were just decoys to hide the planet's true strength. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from other sectors," his communications officer reported. "Similar ambushes have been successful at 7 other hegemony attack points. Their invasion force has been cut in half." Greg smiled grimly. "And so it begins." The hegemony thought they were starting a simple conquest. Instead, they've walked into the biggest trap in galactic history. On his screen, he could see the few escaping hegemony ships. They were running back to their empire with news of an enemy unlike any they had faced before. An enemy that didn't fight fair, didn't follow the rules of war, and had warned them, quite clearly, to run. Supreme Overlord Kravnos of the hegemony received the news of the disaster at New Eden with shock and disbelief. "Impossible. No species has ever defeated a full battle fleet, especially not with such trickery." His advisors cowered before his anger. "The humans don't fight according to any known rules," explained military strategist Vorlak. "They set traps before we even declared war. They hid their true military strength. They don't gather their forces for open battle. They strike from hiding, disappear, then strike again. They are pests." Kravnos shouted. "I will send half our Imperial fleet. We will burn their worlds to dust." "Supreme Overlord," Vorlak cautioned, "our intelligence suggests." "I don't care what our intelligence suggests. No primitive species defies the hegemony." 1 month later, Kravnos watched the large holographic display as his armada, 3,000 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, approached Earth, the human homeworld. "They gather to defend their main planet," said Fleet Commander Zexbel with satisfaction. "Finally, they will fight properly." The human defense fleet was large but outnumbered 5-1. As the hegemony forces moved closer, Kravnos prepared to enjoy his victory. "Begin the attack," he ordered. The hegemony fleet moved forward, and immediately chaos broke out as thousands of hidden mines exploded across their formation. Hidden in asteroid fields and space debris, the mines tore through the tight hegemony ship groups. Then the big surprise. The human fleet wasn't defending Earth at all. It was a holographic trick. The real human forces came out from behind Earth's moon, from Mars, from hidden platforms, attacking the hegemony's exposed sides. Lieutenant Peter Morgan watched from the bridge of the UES Relentless as Admiral Miller's plan unfolded. "All ships, execute Operation Hornet's Nest." He commanded his squadron. The quick human vessels darted between the massive hegemony ships, which were too big and slow to effectively target them. The battle lasted 3 days. When it ended, the mighty hegemony armada was reduced to scattered, retreating vessels. On the Imperial capital, Kravnos watched the reports with growing horror. The humans weren't chasing the retreating ships. They were letting them flee, carrying the message of the hegemony's defeat back to the core worlds. "My lord," said Vorlak carefully, "perhaps we should consider opening peace talks with the humans." "Peace?" Kravenos spat. "The hegemony does not make peace. We conquer or we destroy. But, my lord, our forces—" "Silence. Prepare our reserve fleets. Ready all available ships. We will crush these humans, whatever the cost." As his advisors rushed to carry out his orders, Kravenos stared at the battle reports. How had it gone so wrong? The hegemony had conquered countless species across the galaxy. Their tactics were perfect, their technology superior, their numbers overwhelming. Yet somehow, these humans had turned everything against them. On the UES Relentless, Peter Morgan received new orders from Admiral Miller. "We're not pursuing the retreating ships," he asked his captain. Captain Laura Bennett shook her head. "No, those ships will carry news of our victory back to their empire. Let them spread fear." "What's our next move?" "Operation Shadow Strike," she replied. "While the hegemony gathers its remaining fleets to defend their core worlds, we'll be hitting their supply lines, their communication hubs, their minor outposts. Not a direct attack." Laura smiled. "That's what they expect. That's how wars have been fought in this galaxy for thousands of years. But humans don't fight like anyone else." She pulled up a map showing dozens of small human strike forces already moving into position throughout hegemony space. "They think we'll give them time to regroup. Instead, we'll be everywhere and nowhere, striking where they're weakest, vanishing before they can respond." Peter nodded with understanding. "Death by 1,000 cuts." "Exactly. The hegemony has never faced an enemy like humanity before." Laura's expression grew serious. "And they'll never have to again, if they finally listen to our warning and run." Dr. Maya Carter looked at herself in the mirror in her room on the stealth ship Phantom. The genetic changes made her look enough like a Vexenar, one of the species ruled by the hegemony. "How do I look?" she asked Colonel Ethan Phillips, her mission leader. "Like you could pass for a Vexenar office worker," he replied. "Remember, you only need to keep your cover long enough to upload the virus to their main network." Maya nodded. "And what will the virus do exactly?" "It won't damage their critical systems," Ethan explained. "That would cause too much suffering for the regular people. Instead, it will release all the secret information about the hegemony's past conquests, showing all subject species how their histories have been changed, how their resources have been stolen. Turning the empire against itself," Maya said, understanding the plan. "Exactly. The hegemony keeps control by hiding information and making species fight each other, once they can all see the truth." 2 days later, Maya stood in the huge data center of the Imperial Archives on Hegemony Prime. Her cover as a minor data worker had gotten her this far. Now she just needed to reach a main terminal. Her heart beat fast as she put the special data crystal containing the virus into the system. The upload took only seconds. Within hours, the tightly controlled information networks of the hegemony were flooded with centuries of hidden truth. Rebellions started on 100 worlds at the same time. Meanwhile, human diplomatic ships approached the home planets of the major subject species, offering alliance and help against their oppressors. Supreme Overlord Kravenos watched his empire fall apart from within. He had never imagined that the greatest weapon the humans would use wasn't their ships or bombs, but the truth. "My lord," reported his security chief, "rebellions have broken out in all sectors. The Draxi, the Vexenar, and the Kortal have all declared independence." "How is this possible?" Kravenos demanded. "How could they coordinate such actions?" "Someone has released all our classified files, my lord. Every subject species now knows how we rewrote their histories, how we've been exploiting their resources, how we've played them against each other." "The humans," Kravenos growled. "This is their doing." "Yes, my lord. And there's more. Human diplomatic vessels have been spotted in orbit around the homeworlds of our major subject species. They're offering alliance and protection." Kravenos smashed his fist on his throne. "Send the home fleet. Crush these rebellions. The security chief looked down. "My lord, many ships in the home fleet are refusing orders. Crews from subject species are siding with the rebels." For the first time in his long life, Kravnos felt fear. The hegemony had faced rebellions before, but never like this, never so coordinated, never with outside help. "The humans warned us," he said quietly. "Their ambassador said they weren't like other species we've conquered. We should have listened." Back on the Phantom, Maya received confirmation that her mission was successful. "The virus is spread through their entire network," she told Ethan. "Every piece of classified information is now public. Every secret deal, every rewritten history, every resource theft. It's all out in the open." Ethan nodded with satisfaction. Phase 6 complete. The hegemony is facing rebellions on all fronts, and they can't stop the information flow. Maya watched the data streams showing uprisings across the Empire. "We didn't beat them with superior weapons or technology," she said. "We beat them with the truth." "That's always been humanity's greatest strength," Ethan replied. "Not our ability to fight, but our belief that freedom and truth will always win in the end." Outside their ship, the once mighty hegemony was coming apart at the seams, defeated not by a superior military force, but by the power of hidden truths finally revealed. Admiral Susan Miller stood before representatives from over 50 alien species in the Grand Assembly Hall on Earth. These aliens had once been forced to serve the hegemony, but now they were free. "The war is over," she announced. "The last hegemony strongholds have either surrendered or been freed by their own people." She gestured to the diverse gathering before her. "Humanity never wanted this conflict. We explored space looking for knowledge and friendship. When threatened, we defended ourselves the only way we know how, with every resource, every strategy, and every bit of determination we have." Former High Commander Vexlor, now representing his species as an equal rather than a conqueror, stood to speak. "For 10,000 years, the hegemony conquered without serious challenge. We believed we could not be defeated." He paused, his multiple eyes looking around the room. "We had never met humans before. You warned us to run. We should have listened." Ambassador Nathan Reed stepped forward. "The Galactic Cooperative we create today is based on principles of freedom, mutual respect, and collective security. No species will ever again be forced to serve others as you all were under the hegemony." Across human space, people watched the proceedings with pride and hope. The long conflict had tested humanity, but also showed their strength, not just in fighting ability, but in their ability to build alliances, to offer mercy alongside justice, and to imagine a better future for all thinking beings. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, now patrolling peacefully along what had once been disputed space, Commander Jack Hudson watched the stars. "Thinking about how it all started, sir?" asked Lieutenant Olivia Grant. Jack nodded. "They never understood what they were facing. Not our weapons or technology. Those were similar to theirs. They didn't understand our history, our psychology, our determination." "Do you think there will be lasting peace?" she asked. "I do," Jack replied. "Because now everyone in the galaxy understands something important. Humans make better friends than enemies." He smiled as a fleet of ships from a dozen different species passed by on joint exercises, former enemies now allies. "And we'll always warn them first, to run." Later that day, Jack met with Admiral Miller in her office overlooking the new Galactic Cooperative headquarters. "You should be proud, Commander," she said. "Your stand against the first hegemony attack gave us the time we needed to implement our defense strategy." "I was just doing my job, Admiral," Jack replied. "Anyone would have done the same." "Perhaps," she smiled. "But it's that attitude that the hegemony never understood. They couldn't grasp why every human, from the highest admiral to the newest recruit, would fight so hard. Because we were fighting for our freedom," Jack said simply. "Something worth dying for." "And now," Admiral Miller said, gesturing to the window where representatives from dozens of species mingled freely, "we've helped others find that same freedom. Outside the window, Earth's sky was filled with ships from across the galaxy. Trade vessels, diplomatic shuttles, and joint defense forces moved through the busy space lanes. Where once there had been fear of the hegemony, now there was cooperation and friendship. A reporter asked me yesterday what the most important lesson of the war was. Admiral Miller said. "And what did you tell them?" Jack asked. She smiled. That appearances can be deceiving. The hegemony looked unbeatable, with thousands of years of conquest behind them. Humanity looked weak, with just a few visible colonies. But underneath we had spread further than anyone knew, prepared better than anyone guessed, and fought harder than anyone expected. She raised her glass. To humanity, Commander, may we always be underestimated by our enemies and overvalued by our friends. Jack finished, raising his own glass in response.